part two. I knew the phone was going to cut off. So, you guys, I asked the Almighty Yahweh himself to stay with me as I deliver and prepare this message as well. This is part two. Stories of a great flood are widely spread among Indians of the great Algonquin stock, and they resemble each other in some details. Thus, the Delawares, an Algonquin tribe whose home was about Delaware Bay, told of a deluge, which submerged the whole earth, and from which few persons escaped alive. They saved themselves by taking refuge on the back of a turtle, which was so old that its shell was mossy, like the bank of a rivulet. As they were floating thus forlorn, a loon flew their way, and they begged him to dive and bring up land from the depths of the waters. The bird dived accordingly, but could not find no bottom. Then he flew away far and came back with a little earth in his bill. Guided by him, the turtle swam to the place where some dry land was found. There they settled and repeopled the country. Listen to the wording, you guys. This is just a small portion of an oral tradition that was passed down. Now, if you look at the Holy Bible today, it parallels things. So it kind of shows you how it mentioned the Cherokee Indians. It mentions the Algonquin Indians, the Algonquin stock, meaning the people. And then it also tells you the territory, which is the Delawares. And then whose home was about the Delaware Bay. I had talked about the energies not being in the correct places, and that they were very well documented as to who belongs where on this particular realm of existence on the earth. Now, mind you, this is the Great Flood, and it's told about in North America. So when I say that there are more tribes that are intermingling and finding the origins of where their original landmass is located, are you guys aware that the names that we have today of certain states and countries and territories are not the same? So when you get into your biblical studies, it's a great idea to have a map, a world atlas, a map, a particular type of map that will show you how the tectonic plates, platonic plates, have shifted over the time. There's a word called Pangea, P-A-N-G-E-A. In this particular Pangea, what is it? Kind of like, I think they have a 3D version of how the continents were all together at one time, and then they kind of drifted apart. And if you notice the way that they're doing it, it actually is going to come back together eventually. And the reason why it's doing that is because the Almighty is ever making new land, new surfaces. There is currently an earthquake that goes on underneath the ocean, and then before it is felt, the Almighty allows it to be renewed. This is why I say Mama Gaia needs love, because in order to restore her to her natural vibrations, where we're not having earthquakes and hurricanes and storms out of the blue, intense heats in one portions and or another, or intense cold in one portions of another. Because if you look on a map, you'll see there's like the upper, and then there's like the lower portion of the earth. Then you have like the equator in between. This is why I say a map is very important. And then on top of that, we are actually just still like the center of this particular map, because what we were taught in school is in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Yes, he did. And he came and discovered the Americas. But upon his discovery, there were people already here. And it's been documented by so many different artists, authors. So it's just a matter of looking and finding the correct person that speaks about it, who's documented. Are you guys aware that they're literally removing our history right before our very eyes? And when I say they're removing our history, they're removing it to the point that a lot of young ones will never really know unless they actually go and search for that missing information that is very vital for all of us to have. So they're changing out our history books. They're changing out our arithmetic books, which is now called mathematics or math books. You know, you also have different types of histories, you guys. This is why archaeological is really good. And this is why a lot of museums will never be, ever be outdated. Because are you guys aware, every time that the ocean, the ebb and flow of the ocean, we have different artifacts that wash up on shore. Be it a different type of animal someone's never seen, or be it something else that's, according to the Almighty, something that we have never seen with our very eyes, but was created from the beginning of creation. Because if you go into the older biblical texts, it talked about dinosaurs. But if you come into the current ones, they don't speak anything about dinosaurs. They kind of changed names over to like the Leviathans and the, what was the other one? Megalodon? I don't know what that is, a megalodon. I guess that's like a large, massive creature. I've never heard that word before, so I'm going to have to look that up. Daddy says the megalodon. Okay. All right, but anyway, let me get on back over here. The Montagnaeus, a group of Indian tribes in Canada who also belong to the great Algonquin stock, told an early Jesuit missionary that a certain mighty being, whom they called Misio, repaired the world after it had been ruined by the great flood. They said that one day Misio went out to hunt, and that the wolves which he used instead of hounds entered into a lake and were there detained. Misio sought them everywhere, till a bird told him that he saw the lost wolves in the middle of the lake. Wolves in the middle of the lake? Okay. So he waded into the water to rescue them, but the lake overflowed, covered the earth, and overwhelmed the world. Greatly astonished. See, our oral traditions are being passed down depending on who you are, where you are, and how much is actually put together for all of us to actually go and search and seek out for this information. So it says in the Bible that we have to keep searching, keep seeking, keep asking. And then as you ask, you tend to add on. And for those that have your elders, it doesn't matter what nation you come from or what tribe. Those of you that have your ancestors, your elder ones, sit down and talk to them, because you'd be surprised how much information they can actually add to your personal story. Even if it is not your story, so to speak, we are all tied in one way or another. So this is why learning about another person's history, we don't have to have, the prejudice and the racism if you can put down that barrier and actually see it. How we all got together in this great melting pot that they call America, but was home to many people whom they have actually changed the identities of who we are to someone else. You just have to know who you are, what your tribe is, where your tribe was originally located in order to be able to search. So this is why our records are very vital and very important, guys. Okay? Because it says the Montagnaeus, Montagnaeus, a group of Indian tribes in Canada. So these were Canadian tribes, okay, who also belong to the great Algonquin stock. This is why I say I know my family in particular is very large, because of the fact that we had to migrate. And again, I tell everybody, my particular tribe, the Chata tribe, comes from the southern regions. And we were part of, my story is part of the Trail of Tears. And a lot of people say, well, you're too young for that. No, my history is the Trail of Tears. It's been documented by so many people, and so many people orally send that tradition down, and